So overall, what did you think about the documentary?
Well, you know what? Before I watched the documentary, I was reading the reviews on it, and the documentary got a lot of negative reviews.
Like, why?
Like, they were just saying that the documentary focused too much on the, I guess, like, the supernatural aspect of things. Like, it took things down like rabbit holes where they should have explained more details on like the fact instead of giving an audience to the web investigators, like the conspiracy theorists. They thought it was giving too much attention and time to the conspiracy theorist.
Okay, yeah, I guess I could see that. What did you agree?
After finishing the documentary, I don't think so. I think the documentary did the case, like, explained the case very well. Like, it did go into the conspiracy theorist stuff, but towards the end, they kind of wrapped up everything up and explained their position. I thought it was really well done.
I agree. I thought it was well done too. They did a good job of, because you also have to keep in mind that these are like mystery documentaries and they want to enhance the mystery of these things, right? Because it is a mysterious case. So like, in a way, like when you're filming things, you're trying to feed into the overall creative process of something as well. Yeah, I thought they did a good job of showing all the different theories and interplaying elements that kind of contributed to what made the case so strange.
Like, who is Elisa Lam?
So she was a 21-year-old student from BC. She was just looking to travel and explore a new place, go on an adventure, and she wanted to go all through California. So her plan was to kind of go through San Diego, LA, and I'm not sure where else, but she wanted to stay at like a hostel, I believe.
From watching the documentary, I think they said that she was looking for a place downtown, and a place called Stay on Main popped up, and she booked with that. And even with that, I felt like it was really shady business for what they did. Like the hotel. I
agree 100%. Booking in with the Cecil Hotel, the reputation of that hotel, like, she might have stayed away. Do you know what I mean? But the Stay on Main was within the Cecil Hotel. It was floors 2, 3, and 4. And then the Cecil Hotel was floors 5 up to 14. So she stayed within those 3 floors on the Stay on Main. I agree, like, that was so shady, because if she would have known of the reputation of that hotel, it might have prevented her from booking in. It's not like she was super naive or anything like that.
I just don't know, like, how much information they gave when you're booking the hotel with Stay on Main, but the way they put it was that they had it as like a separate entity from the Cecil Hotel. So like they had the separate lobby and everything, but essentially it's the same building.
It is the same building. That's so creepy. And the other thing they mentioned is that the elevators were shared, even though it was a separate lobby, and technically it's those 3 floors. So there's really no way for anybody to know that it was the Cecil Hotel, unless they knew what the Cecil Hotel was to begin with.
So that's why I thought, like, the hotel part was very deceitful in that aspect, where it's like, okay, you know, the Cecil Hotel has a reputation, at least, for being a bad hotel in a bad area, but then they rebranded this one side of the hotel as this new thing called Stay on Main. Right.
It was like a hip hostel for like young people to stay. They even changed the painting on the walls and the bedding and everything, and it looked very like hip, right? For like young students to.
But you're still in that, like, that area where they call it, what is it, Skid Road?
Yeah, that's the other thing about it. Like, if she would have researched the area, I'm pretty sure the Cecil Hotel was right on the boundary of where Skid Row is. And I did some research on Skid Row as well. Did you look into it?
I didn't look into it, but Skid Row is definitely one of the, I feel like even if you don't know, you didn't research it, you know what Skid Row is. Like, it's famous in Los Angeles as being, like, it's basically like a homeless neighborhood.
Yeah, so I did a little bit of research on what Skid Row is exactly, and it's basically like a 5-block radius, like the city of Los Angeles has used to basically sweep their homeless problem under the rug. And police officers will literally sit on the boundaries of this area in order to keep all of the homeless people within there, or like crime or whatever, right? The other weird thing is when people get out of recovery from like any kind of like hospital, if they're recovering from like mental health issues, the bus will literally take them straight to Skid Row and drop them off.
But they explained why though.
What did they say?
Because a lot of the help center was built in Skid Row. Like a lot of the what is it called?
Like resources and stuff?
Yeah, like resources for, I guess, like maybe homeless, like shelters and all that. They were all like concentrated around, like in Skid Row, that area. So, I mean, it was definitely an effort. It mentioned this in documentary. It was definitely the city's effort part to like keep all the riffraffs in one area and like have them confined in that space. Like you were saying, the police would literally create borders around the neighborhood and not let people out.
Right.
And the Cecil Hotel was literally at that border where everything is.
Right. Super sketchy. Apparently, it's like one of the highest crime areas in all of America. And I don't know if they showed this in the documentary or if I saw it in a different video, but there's literally blocks and blocks of homeless people just in tents. When you think about Los Angeles, you think about like, and she probably maybe thought this too, that she was like going to go to like this beautiful city, star-ridden.
Oh my gosh.
You know?
Okay.
And then you go there and you see the extreme poverty that exists. I feel like there's extreme wealth and extreme poverty in that city.
That's the ironic part about the hotel. Because the lobby was gorgeous.
Right.
So it's like the front of the hotel was like, you know, this big grand building. You go into the lobby, it's like freaking Great Gatsby. Big chandeliers, like marbling. And then when you go into the elevator, because in the documentary, they mentioned this group of tourists. They're like, oh my gosh, this hotel is very beautiful. It's so grand. And then as soon as they enter the elevator, it's like a completely different hotel. Like it's all busted. The rooms are all disgusting. There's like sticky carpet. So it's like, it kind of mirrors your version of like what you think of Los Angeles was. It's like, oh, you think it's like this grand place, and then you look into this area where it's just like it's broken down.
It's like all shiny. Deceiving. Yeah, it's all shiny and beautiful on the outside, but inside it's rotten.
It's like another level of deceit.
Yeah, it is. They also said like you never know what you're gonna see in the elevators, you know what I mean? Just even around the hotel. The other thing about the hotel is that you can stay for the night or the week, or you could also rent on a monthly basis. So there was people living there that are there like almost like as permanent residents. Not permanent, sorry, what's the word?
I think they mentioned that where it was for low income housing.
Right.
Like long-term residents or tenants.
Maybe people who are trying to get off of Skid Row and, you know, are just trying to find a cheap place to get back up on their feet or whatever it may be, right? Being right next to that area, there was a lot of people from that area renting at the Cecil Hotel.
Well, in the documentary, they mentioned like Skid Row's been there for as long as the hotel, right?
I think so, yeah. I think that its reputation got worse and worse over the years, though.
Well, I guess I should give like a brief history of the Cecil Hotel. Like it was built in, what was it, 1927?
Something like that, yeah.
And like initially it was meant for business people and tourists, because it was next to, I guess, what do they call it? The tram or subway. And the hotel was initially meant for business travelers and just tourists who are getting off the station looking for like a cheap stay.
Exactly, yeah.
But obviously, like in the 30s, the Great Depression hit, and that's when things started going like downhill. Ever since then, the hotel was renting rooms to very shady characters. Like there was prostitution going on, there was drug use, there was a whole bunch of like violence, suicides. The hotel definitely has a history of negativity.
Yeah, like not to mention serial killers like Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker.
The Night Stalker, yeah. He stayed there.
Yeah, he was somebody who had, I think he like murdered 13 people.
They said that in the documentary where he goes out and murders people, and then he comes back at nighttime, like he takes off all his bloody clothes, and apparently he walks into the hotel with he's like in his underwear all bloody. It's just like walking up the stairway to his room, and apparently no one bats an eye. Like that's literally the vibe of the hotel.
Yeah, like nobody bats an eye because that's so normal there, you know? That's the kind of activity that they're doing or seeing, or, you know, maybe they're doing their own crime, so why would they report it, you know? People just...
Like they interviewed a old resident of the hotel, and he said that the top floors, no one goes up there because you literally die up there. Like people would take you up there, rob you, and throw you out the window.
What? Where did you hear that?
Remember in the documentary, they were interviewing that one dude who used to be a resident of the Cecil Hotel, and he was saying that he stayed in like the middle portion of the hotel because he was afraid to go up to the top story because that's where like hell breaks loose.
Right.
He was like, if they get you up there, you're basically a goner.
That's terrifying.
So that's literally like the vibe of the hotel. Like people, it just became, I think one of the women mentioned it. She was like, it's where serial killer let their hair down.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's kind of like a building just for like the junk of society.
Yeah, another interesting description that was in the documentary was somebody described it as like a portal to hell.
Or like supernatural?
Maybe.
I mean, I would have believed that before watching the documentary, but like after watching it, I just feel like it's definitely like a heavy place because of the history of the hotel, but I don't think there's a supernatural aspect to it where it's going to cause you to do certain things. Yeah,
I've kind of changed my opinion throughout watching the documentary because like at first I was thinking, okay, like after watching the elevator video and stuff, I'm like, that's not human. Like, what the heck is going on, right? But as time progresses and you learn about the location of where the hotel is, it's literally on Skid Row, right? Why are these characters there? Like, you kind of understand more logically of, like, where is this hotel positioned, right? What's going on? So it seems less supernatural. But it's still hard to imagine. Like, there have been 16 deaths at that hotel. That seems, like, pretty extreme. Yeah, and like bizarre deaths. Bizarre. People just jumping out the window. Though? There was one death. There was one death. A woman jumped out the window and landed directly on somebody walking below her. Both died immediately.
I'm not laughing because of that, but like that is pretty. I remember that.
That's insane.
She jumped out the window and landed on a person and killed them both. But like, what do you expect though when you put a hotel in the border of a place where they literally ship off and border off the mental? Like the literally like criminals, people with mental illness, people who have drug issues, they literally put them all in that one spot. So it's not, when you think about it, it's not that bizarre. Where it's like, if you're gonna have all those people concentrated in one spot, you're gonna have that kind of issues. It's definitely the most important aspect of the Elisa Lam case because everyone who knows the case knows the elevator footage that was released to the public. So in the footage, it shows Elisa Lam, like she goes into the elevator, seemingly normal, and then she presses all the buttons in the middle row of the elevator, and she stands like in the corner of the elevator, and the door doesn't close, so she starts freaking out, and she goes out of the elevator, like she does these weird motion. Like the video is definitely odd if you don't know what's going on.
100%. It's like very, very strange.
Like
she's acting extremely strangely.
It's bizarre. If you're just a fresh person looking at that video, you honestly wonder like what the hell is going on with this person. Like she's peeking in and out of the elevator door, and she's like looking both sides, and then she like quickly goes back into the elevator, and then she goes out and she makes like these weird hand gesture.
Yeah, she's moving her hands around, and you're wondering, is she talking to someone? Is she hiding from someone? Is she looking for someone? Is she scared of someone? Like, there's just a mixture of questions and emotions which she seems to display, but it's like very unclear, and her behavior is very unorganized.
That was one of the points that the conspiracy theorists online brought up initially when they saw the video. It's like, okay, first of all, why wasn't the elevator door closing?
Right.
And like, why was she making all these weird motions? And like, why did it seem like she was talking to someone, or like she's interacting with someone that cannot be seen in the camera? Like these are the questions that was raised up. The video, people noticed that it was slowed down. Like parts of the video were slowed down, and there was, towards the end of the video clip, there was a like a time skip or like a frame skip. Like it shows the elevator door open, and then all of a sudden you can see it like half closing. You can clearly tell that some parts of the video was missing. And also the timestamp was blurred out or edited in a way where you can't see it. Right. So that literally got people questioning to like, why, like what's up with all of this? Like, is it like some sort of deliberate cover up by the police, or maybe someone from the hotel had edited the video before handing it to authority? That's what the conspiracy theorists online had thought up.
I was just gonna add that there was actually an entire minute apparently missing from the video.
Right. It did explain in the documentary to like why the video was like that. They said it was slowed down because they wanted, it was easier for people to probably identify the person in the video.
Right.
And the explanation they gave for the blurred timestamp and the time skip, or like the missing minute, was because they were trying to withhold certain information from the public, which is really shady in itself, but I don't think it was anything that had to do with the investigation. It was just pure incompetence, like I said. If you're going to go as far as releasing the video, you might as well just give everything. Because when you do that, you cause these conspiracies to pop up. Like, why was the video slowed down? Why was there a time skip? Why was the timestamp blurred out?
Right.
Because this wasn't explained in the initial part of the case. It was only explained afterwards, where everything was already said and done, and all the conspiracy theorists already had their joyride of what they thought happened to Elisa Lam.
Right.
So the police literally caused all this chaos.
Yeah, they did. And I agree with your point that if you're going to release the video, it's kind of like you have to choose to release all of the information or don't release it at all. Like, otherwise it's only going to create more confusion for everybody involved. The people outside of the case and the people working on the case. It's just a mess.
Yeah, because when you give that video out, you're going to get all these different theories coming in. Like, they literally said that they got phone calls saying, like, these misleads and stuff. It's like, it's your own doing. It's your own doing.
Yeah, it's probably better to just keep the media out, but then again, the police seemed to not know what they were doing at all, so maybe they
no
needed
idea
the
why they
public
released
at
the
that
video.
point. Because they were dumb.
Exactly. It was incompetence. It was incompetence all around. Like, I'm just like so mad at the investigator in this video, and even in the documentary towards the end where they explained their reasoning for blurring the timestamp and cutting out a certain portion of the video. They said it was like, okay, there's obviously some things we want to withhold from the public and not give all the information.
For me, it gets to a point where it's like, is it just incompetency, or are they just kind of pretending that they're incompetent and there's not all the information given on purpose? Like, after I finished the documentary, I was thinking, okay, it makes sense in a very logical way, but there was also a lot of very bizarre things that happened, which I feel like can't be explained. How do you have that many police officers who are making that many mistakes? It just doesn't make sense. Where did the entire minute of the video go? Why were the numbers blurred out? They should be able to answer those questions.
Yeah, but it already showed the police had no idea what they're doing when they released the video.
That many police officers are that dumb? It doesn't make sense. At a certain point,
it was only two lead investigators.
I don't know. I feel like this was and also, she's not seen on any video cameras anywhere else. I guess there was just no video cameras where this seems like a very sketchy hotel. You would think that there would be more cameras in it.
It's already like run down, right? And even the camera quality itself was horrible.
That's fair, but can you answer, like, why was there a minute missing from the video?
The only explanation they gave in the documentary was that this is not for quote, but this is like an overall. They said that there was obviously like certain information that they withheld from the public.
Why?
I don't know what obvious means. But
Well,
I understand the timestamp.
I understand during the case you want to keep certain things from the public because you're working on the case and you're trying to solve things. Once things are solved, give everybody the truth. Like, they're literally filming documentaries on this. There's so much going on, and you still can't provide certain information. Why? This is like a famous case. That seems sketchy. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not trying to be conspiracy theorist, but
I don't know why that is, but people said, at least the conspiracy theorists, they said that there was a cover-up with the police department and the hotel, which I don't believe. I think, you know what? I think they might have removed that minute because it might have something that showed their incompetencies. How do you say that word?
Incompetence. We've been saying that word a lot.
Incompetence, yeah. Maybe that minute gave clue to what might have happened to Elisa Lam.
Yeah, and you should give all of that information to the public. Like, it's not fair. It's BS. Like, we're all...
Yeah, but they already screwed up so much. They don't want any more hate.
I need to know what that is.
Well, they did assure you. They did assure you in the video that the hotel, whatever the hotel provided for them, was not edited in any way. Whether you believe that was your choice.
Was not edited?
Yeah, because the conspiracy theorists were like, oh, this was an inside job. Like, someone from the hotel cut the video before giving it to the police department.
They probably blocked out the timestamp because they didn't want people to pick up quickly that there was a skip. Because, yeah, they probably did. There was probably something major that was missed there.
Yeah.
Maybe there was like a freaking policeman walking straight by.
I don't know. That's just like... That was definitely like one of the unanswered things where I tried to look up and I couldn't find the answer for.
Yeah, I don't know. Unanswered things really like bother me though, because it's not like, for me, it's not easy to just dismiss so many incompetencies as, oh yeah, they're all dumb. Everybody working on this case was dumb. It's like at a certain point, it's like, what are you covering up? I'm not trying to say it's a huge conspiracy or something, but like, you guys are being shady. There's something. No, I get it. There's something shady.
There's a lot of like questions that were unanswered, but like the major one that people had questions were answered. Like, why didn't the elevator door close?
Right.
And it was because Elisa Lam, when she was pressing the buttons, she pressed the door hold button on the elevator. Like, that's why the door didn't close.
Right.
So like, me initially watching that many years back, I was even wondering, like, why isn't the door closed? Like, why is it that when she left the elevator and then she left the frame of the security camera, then the door closed? Like, I was like, what the hell is wrong with that elevator? But like, now you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I just feel like there was so many questions in that video. A lot of them got answered, but some of them still aren't.
There was the weird footage in the elevator. There was a question about how she got on the roof and how she got into the water tank. And then there was also like, why was she naked in the tank when they discovered her?
Right.
And like, how did she even get up there? Right? Like, there was a lot of strange occurrences. The night she was supposed to check out, she goes missing. So a search warrant went out for her, and investigator came into the hotel and was searching all around for her, but they couldn't find her.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to add the point that, like, before she went on this trip, she made a deal with her parents that she would call them every single day to let them know that she was okay. Obviously, they were concerned that she was going on this trip. Their young 21-year-old daughter. Just want to make sure she's safe. So yeah, obviously when she didn't call on her last night,
the night she was supposed to check out,
yeah, they worried and they called the LAPD.
This point kind of like pissed me off in the documentary, because they mentioned that the LAPD came in and like literally searched the whole hotel from top to bottom, at least to the best of their ability, because they obviously like need certain search warrants to search every room. But they said they searched almost the whole hotel, and then they even searched the roof where her body was found.
Right.
Like, after the time, but they said that initially they couldn't find anything on the roof.
That pissed me off too. It really pissed me off, because there was like these 14 police officers that they made it seem like they were like really looking at every nook and cranny of this hotel.
Oh my god, there was definitely like so many...
The police dog also lost her scent by a window. And they didn't think to check the roof more carefully. I mean, we should also say that she ended up on the roof in the water tank, and she drowned. So that's what the police report said. They messed up on a lot of different things.
This is actually one of the things I felt like the police force did wrong, was releasing the footage to the public. Because the police had all the information in their hands, right? So when they see the footage, they're looking at it from a different angle versus the public, who doesn't have all the information that the police might have. So they see the video as is. And when you look at the video from verbatim, it does look very strange.
Right.
Like, they don't know who Elisa Lam was. They don't know her history prior to that video. Like, they just see the video as what it is. And if you look at the video without all those information, you definitely feel like it's very strange. It's off. Like, what the hell is going on in that video? And I was one of those people who saw the video and was like, oh my gosh, she's definitely possessed by a demon or something. Mm-hmm. And I think that was definitely one of the mistakes the LAPD did, was releasing that video out to the public. It's like, if you're going to release the video out to the public, release the other information you have.
Yeah, they definitely tried to keep lots of things secret.
But they released the freaking video. It's like, literally, that's the most... I feel like that's the most important thing. It's like, if you're going to go as far as releasing the video of Elisa Lam, then you really need to give a background information on what happened. Or, like, who she was, at least.
Yeah, and I mean, that definitely showed in the consequences of what happened after releasing the video, because there was just a lot of confusion around it. It just made them more confused. But I think that the reason that they released the video was out of desperation of not understanding what was going on and trying to solve things as soon as possible in case the public knew something that they didn't, so that they could find her, because at that point they did not find her body.
Well, the thing is that Elisa Lam went missing, and they couldn't find her. And it wasn't 19 days later until the hotel guests were complaining. This is so messed up. The guests were complaining that the water pressure in the hotel rooms were off. Like the pressure was really low, and like there was a strange taste to the water, or the water was coming out black.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
So I'm only laughing because this is really shocking. So they called the maintenance worker to check on like the status of the pipe to see like what was going on. Like why is the pressure so messed up? Like why were like these flooding? Why is the water all janky? And the maintenance worker went up to the roof to check the water tank to see if there's anything wrong with it. And he looked in the tank and they discovered Elisa's rotting body. And this was 19 days in.
Yeah. And yeah, you can just think about all the residents of that hotel drinking that water, brushing their teeth with it, showering in it. That's disgusting. Dark. It's dark. That is bad vibes. That is really, really, really messed up.
I don't even want to think about that, because they interviewed the guest who actually partaked in the water. Like she drank the muddy water.
Yeah, and they were like, oh yeah.
Like she was like, oh, it tasted slimy, and it was got this like weird taste to it. I'm like, oh god, they were like drinking she said that pieces of her.
Yeah, I think that she said it tasted almost like sweaty or something. I think that might have been the word she used.
It tasted sweaty, yeah, she said that.
Oh, so gross.
So like when you were saying desperation from the police force, that's why they were desperate, because first of all, they checked the whole hotel initially when Elisa Lam went missing and they couldn't find anything. They checked the roof. They had helicopters coming in with like freaking spotlights and they couldn't find anything. And they said like, okay, she wasn't in the hotel. And then 19 days later, you discover that her body was in the freaking water tank all along. Like that's what made them desperate, because it showed their incompetence.
Yeah, and it's like they made more than one error there, because there was the whole thing with the lid on the water tank. First they were saying, oh, it's closed, and then
oh my god,
when the maintenance worker actually saw her body in the tank, it was open. So how can you mess that up as well? Like, first of all, they messed that up. The dog lost her scent at a window. How the hell did you lose that? The dogs and everybody was searching on the roof. Like, how can 14 well-trained police officers make that many mistakes? It just doesn't make sense.
Like, I'm not trying to knock anything, because I'm not, like, obviously I wasn't in their shoe, so I don't know what they were thinking, but I just feel like if you have that much police force and resources into tackling this one case, and you did search the roof with, like you said, you searched the roof, and they even admit that it was their mistake.
Yeah, it's just...
But it's just like a mountain of bad decisions where you're releasing this tape to the public without giving full information about the case as a whole. Like, if you're already gonna release, like I said, if you're gonna release the video, you need to give all the information to the public, because then the public starts seeing the video and they make up their own conspiracy theories on it.
Yeah.
Like, even when you said about the lid, they interviewed, who was it? One of the sergeant, and he said like, oh, I believe that the lid was closed when the maintenance worker went up to the water tank. Like, the lid was closed. But in all actuality, the lid was open. Like, he said he went up to the water tank, he notices that the lid was open, so he went up to check, and he peeked inside and saw the body.
Right.
Like, that was one of the points that the conspiracy theorists brought up. Was like, okay, first of all, how does she get in the tank, and how does she close it from the inside? But it wasn't even closed. So
how is it possible that there could be that many mistakes made? That's almost the part of it that makes me feel like there's a conspiracy to it, because you're gonna have that many police officers that are incompetent. That just almost doesn't make sense. Like, it's almost bizarre. Like, it's a joke.
I was pissed off. I was pissed off at them.
Yeah, it's like, is that a joke though?
Like, from the moment that they decided to release the video to the public, you already saw, like, it's a joke. Like, oh, we don't know, like, what happened, so we're gonna give this video to the public without any prior information and let them solve it. Like, what do you gain from putting this video out? Yeah,
but you don't think that there's anything suspicious about any of that? You think it's just incompetence and that's it? You don't feel suspicion vibes at all? And also, like, let's get on the manager. Let's talk about that for a second.
You want to talk about the manager? Oh, she was a character.
What did you think about her?
This is one of the things she said. She said, "You think this is bad? Imagine working here."
Right.
So her whole attitude was like she had it worse than anyone else because she works at the hotel. So it's very much like, oh, you think you have it bad for staying here? Imagine working here.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point.
She definitely lacks like a lot of. I feel like she lacks
empathy.
For
sure. Yeah, I watched somebody talk about her on a separate YouTube video, and they said that they think it's because she had a closer connection to the hotel than she did to the people who were passing through. Like, the hotel was something that she was going to defend, right? She had more of a bond to the hotel itself and her position there.
Well, the whole thing was when she was hired, she was supposed to remake the hotel as like this brand new thing that was reimagined, as she said. Like, her job was to fix up the hotel, and then, like, she couldn't do it. So that's probably like some ego going into that, where it's like, you know what, she tried her best. She even created that separate entity called Stay on Main, right? And even that didn't work out.
Yeah, I don't know. There was something about her that was just a little bit off. The other question is, when they found out that she was in the water tank, she said that she called her mother before she called the police. What's your take on that?
I didn't find anything weird with that, but now that you mention it, it's kind of like whack.
Why the hell would you call your mother before calling the police? She said, I called my mother first and I let her know, oh yeah, there's gonna be some weird stuff going down, just so you know. They just found a girl dead in the water tank, and you're calling your mother before the police? Okay, I don't know. That's a little off.
I want to give her a benefit of the doubt, because this was when Elisa Lam was already well known to be missing, so it was all over the news. And
I don't know.
She had 10 years with the hotel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna say she's jaded. She's jaded to a lot of things happening, because she was saying she witnessed death on her first week of being the manager of the hotel. She witnessed someone ODing in their room.
You would think that if you had that much experience with death, you would understand how to cooperate well and what to do in those situations. In that situation, you do not call your mother first. You call the police first. You can tell your mother later. Like, it just... Maybe I'm paying too close attention to that detail, but it just seemed weird to me. It's like, if you're jaded... I
think she was definitely jaded, like, another death, another day.
Yeah, but these... Yeah, I guess so. I still
feel... You can't look at it from the point of view, like, fresh, because you gotta... I don't want to say, like... It's just that she was there for 10 years, and the stuff she witnessed was probably... This is like whack, but it's another death for her.
Yeah, like, I get it, but I still feel like it should be second nature that, like, you call the police. And that's kind of a weird case. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's in the water tank, and everybody has been showering in this water. Like, that's,
and her priority was to, like, get everything.
Like, are you that jaded? You're that jaded. Like, that's kind of messed up. You don't even feel any kind of emotion of alert.
She lacks empathy.
Yeah, I guess.
What can you do in that situation? What can you do?
What do you mean?
She did call the police. It's like, yeah, maybe she shouldn't call her mother first, but it's like,
I don't know. It's just kind of weird to me. It's like a 21-year-old girl who was in your care. All the people in your hotel have been drinking this water.
She didn't even see it as that. Then you watch the end where Lisa's family tried to sue the hotel for negligence, and she even defended it till the end. She didn't even work there anymore. She was like, this is definitely not the hotel's fault. She doesn't see it as someone being in her care, because, like I was saying, she's so jaded to the environment of the hotel. The hotel is always a place of people go in, is a cheap stay. Nothing is out of the ordinary. She said that she hears people shouting in the top of the ceiling. She witnessed people dying. She even said she calls the police at least 3 times a day. And over the course of 10 years, she probably called the police thousands of times. So nothing at that point, even though, like, it was such a shocker that Elisa Lam was discovered at the tank. Honestly, I just feel like she was, like I said, another day, another death.
Like, your argument makes sense. I totally, like, I understand. I'm trying to put myself in the position of this woman who's so jaded to death, you know? And when I think about it, I'm like, okay, maybe I should feel a sense of empathy for her, but for some reason I don't. I don't know. I still feel like, you know, I don't think that I would ever be able to get used to that kind of thing. But I've never been in that situation, so I don't know. It still feels like a bizarre case. Like, if that doesn't shock you a bit, like, maybe you should seek therapy. You know, like, you're not even a little shook by that? Finding out that the girl's in the water tank? Oh,
she did say she was shocked.
I don't know.
But I guess it didn't really show, like, in an interview. But she's jaded, man.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't be too judgmental of her, because I don't know what it's like to be in that position. I just thought it was weird that she called her mother before the police. That kind of made me feel some type of way.
I just saw her as a character who is like, you know what? Something happened in a hotel. How do I put it under control? Like, her first priority would always be damage control.
Yeah, she really played her role of manager.
She was a good manager. Bless her soul.
You think so?
She was a good manager, of course.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I guess she was really just trying to run things and keep it afloat as best she could.
Yeah, she did her job as best as she could.
I feel like a good manager would call the police before she called her mother.
I feel like that was a little detail she might have made up. We can talk about, like, why she was, like, why Elisa Lam was acting weird in the hotel footage, the security footage. So, like, the security footage from the elevator showed that Elisa Lam was acting, like, erratically in the footage. Like, she was doing all these weird movements, peeking in and out of the door. But in the documentary, they said that, Elisa Lam actually has a history with mental illness.
Right.
Like, I think she was diagnosed with bipolar, and she had prescription medication for her disease. I think this is probably, like, more in your field.
So she was diagnosed with, actually her diagnosis was said by the documentary that she had bipolar 2, and she was on like 5 different medications, including antidepressants. One was antipsychotic, and one was ADHD. There was 5 altogether though. I think 2 or 3 of them were kind of like the antidepressant, one was antipsychotic, and one was like ADHD medication. So yeah, when I first heard that, I was thinking, like, that's a lot of medications to be on, right? For sure. Right. And they also said that when her body was found, so this is also what was interesting, is like those forensic scientists came in and did like an entire report on what they found in her body, because they wanted to see if she had been killed, if there was like any kind of wounding on her body, right? They tested for drugs as well. Yeah, they tested for drugs, they tested for alcohol, and they found nothing. The only thing they found was that she had her antidepressant medication, but it was at a very low dose, lower than what was prescribed.
Right.
That's
well, they assume that she was, they call it shorting.
Right.
Because she was supposed to take these medication, was it every day? For her bipolarism.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what her prescription was and when she was supposed to take what medication, right? Because maybe some she was supposed to take certain points of time, others she was supposed to take other points in time, right? But what she was doing is she was taking her antidepressant medication during what was possibly a manic episode. And what happens if you take the depression medication is that it can actually catapult you more into your mania phase.
Wait, that wasn't explained in the documentary.
Yeah, I don't think that they explained it completely properly, but that's what it was. So when you look into it, that's what it was. I did some more side research as well on like what exactly happened. That's
interesting.
Yeah, because with bipolar disorder, what she had was bipolar 1, which is considered to be the harsher of the two. So there's bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. With bipolar 1, you have phases of depression and phases of mania, which are both like more intense than the second type of bipolar. So when she was going through her depressive phases, it was probably extremely hard for her to like function, get out of bed. You know, she's probably feeling very tired, like not social at all. Then when you're in your phases of mania, it's the complete opposite. You are full of energy. You don't need to sleep for nights on end. Like,
Right.
you will spend your entire bank account of money. I'm not saying that this is what she did. I'm just giving examples of symptoms that will occur with people with bipolar 1. So what was happening is she was taking her antidepressant, I believe. Yeah, I think that she was taking her antidepressant instead of her other medication. But it was also at a very low dose in her system because she probably got to Los Angeles and felt like she did not need her medication anymore, right?
Right.
And I also did some background research. This is the tea, right? So I went into her old blog posts.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, so she had this like popular Tumblr page back in the day. And I went and I actually looked through all, like, not all of her entries, but I looked through, like, you know, a few from especially that month when she was staying there and when she was getting excited to go to California. And I don't have the exact, like, words of what she was saying, but the day before she had to pack, she has an entry that says, "I'm too tired to pack." So that's kind of a hint towards, okay, maybe she was feeling a little depressed, right? When she got to the airport, she had missed her flight, and she wrote an entry saying, "Oh my gosh, I missed my flight, like, I'm super bummed out." But I think she was trying to keep herself in high spirits at that point, and she said, "That's okay, like, I'm gonna, like, you know, I'm gonna get through it, and it'll all work out in the end," right? Like, I feel like she was trying to, like, uplift herself. Then there's another diary entry which says that she spent the entire day in bed the first day she was in San Diego. She had
That was not mentioned in documentary.
No, I
This is like
literally...
all new to me.
This is like a surprise for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really sad too, actually. Like, thinking about it, I almost feel emotional because people in the documentary, like, talked about how, like, reading through her, like, posts, you almost feel, like, connected to her. I feel like she was, like, really vulnerable on her page and stuff about her emotions and how she was feeling. And I feel like she was maybe even a little lonely, right? Being that vulnerable on the internet and stuff. But yeah, she mentions that her first day in San Diego, she did absolutely nothing, and she spent the entire day in bed, eating cheap food. And she also said that she felt like it was no different than being back at home, right? Because she spent the whole day in bed.
That makes me sad.
It's so sad. But then at the end of the entry, she says, "That's okay, I'm well rested now, and I'm gonna take on San Diego tomorrow." And she, like, writes a little checklist of all the stuff that she's gonna see, right? And I feel like I didn't look into what had happened after, but I do think that she went and saw the San Diego Zoo the next day and all of that. So my intuition is saying that maybe she had gone through a slight depressive phase when she first got there and before she was packing, right? I don't have, like, a huge amount of knowledge on bipolar disorder, but I've been told that manic phases can sometimes be triggered by an event or something, right? So maybe once she was actually in LA and in San Diego or whatever, she was excited, and it's kind of a stressful event, like going to a new place on your own. Even if it's like a positive stressor, it can still be considered a stressor, right?
Wait, can I add a point?
Yeah.
I remember in the documentary she said that, she said something about the hotel. She said, it's beautiful, but it's LA, so it's like on crack.
Yeah, she did say that. That was once she landed close to the Cecil Hotel, I believe, Los Angeles.
So remember when I said that she was on Stay on Main?
Yeah.
So it's like, she probably expected like this very grand place. Like she said I think she probably went through the lobby of Cecil as well, because she mentioned how it was very grand and like the marbles and stuff. But it was like, it was beautiful, but it was LA on crack. So maybe she already had the sense that the surrounding was not what it seemed. Like, it might look grand on the outside, but you're on Skid Road, you're seeing all these people on drugs, you're seeing all these homeless people, like tents. It's just like chaos, all these chaos. So that could be like what triggered what you said, the manic.
That's also what I was thinking, yeah. I feel like once she got there and she saw all of the poverty and, you know, maybe what felt like unfamiliar and even scary people around her, it might have triggered a lot of anxiety and panic in her, which, like, spiraled her into, like, a manic episode. And another thing I noticed is that when she went to the bookstore, lady had mentioned that she was extremely friendly and super talkative. And sometimes people in manic episodes can be very extremely extroverted compared to what they normally are. So it's hard to tell, but I feel like maybe at her baseline she was a friendly girl, but maybe slightly more introverted. I don't know though, that for a fact. But the way that the bookstore lady talked about her is that she was super outgoing, very friendly, very talkative, and that's also a symptom of like a manic episode. So the other thing about her is that there's a type of mania which not all people who have mania have psychotic episodes, but she also had like a history of psychotic episodes.
Yeah, they mentioned, I think her parents were the one who mentioned it, that she had episodes of mental breakdown where she hid under her bed.
Yeah, she hid under her bed.
To avoid someone.
Yeah, maybe like noises or like voices in her head.
Like,
yeah.
I don't want to assume anything, but like just from like what you're telling me about her blog and stuff, it seemed like she was going through different episodes of like bipolarism. Like she was having her ups and downs. And I also want to mention, like in a documentary, in the autopsy report, they said that it's a big possibility that she was shorting her medicine because the medication that was in her body for her illness was low, and the fact that the pills that were left in her bottle was a lot more than normal. Like she should be having less if she was taking them as they were prescribed.
Right.
So there was already evidence there that she was not taking her medication as she should.
Right.
And this is coupled while she was already going through all those episodes.
Yeah, and people in manic episodes, it's not surprising to think that they would not want to take their medication, because when you're in a manic episode, apparently you can feel like invincible, right? So why the heck would you need to take this medication? Like, you're literally a god. You feel on top of the world. And yeah, I was also trying to think about what would compel her to climb to the top of the roof in that way and to have the courage to do that. Like, it looked really scary from the video, climbing up there with like no boundary around you. Did you see that?
I read on a blog post that kind of might have like explained it. Obviously I don't know, but this is just an assumption based on what they know. It's possible that she was having an attack during the elevator footage, like one of those episodes. Because when she pressed those buttons, and you see she starts kind of acting odd when the door doesn't close.
Right.
So someone said that it could be because she was already going through like some phases, and she noticed the door not closing, so she starts panicking, like, oh, something's out there.
For sure.
Which kind of explains like who was she talking to in the elevator footage? Like, why was she making all those hand signals? Why was she looking in and out of the door?
Yeah.
Because I remember in a documentary, I think her parents mentioned that there were histories of her having episodes where she starts hallucinating things, which I believe is also one of the symptoms of her illness.
Yeah, people with mania can also suffer from like psychotic type of episodes. Yeah, hallucinations and stuff like that.
So like, I want to say, like, because she wasn't taking her medication correctly with the environment she was in as well, and everything that was going on, which probably is what caused her to make those weird gesture in the video. Like, she was having an episode in that moment, and she thought someone was going to get her.
Yeah, for sure. She was having a psychotic episode. I agree.
So you were mentioning like how she even climbed up those fire escape ladders to get to the roof. Like, when she's in that moment, she's afraid. She's going through like this episode. So she's going out. She goes out the window to the fire escape, because remember how they said they lost her scent? The search dog lost her scent at the window. So she went out, and she probably climbed the fire escape ladder, and then she went up to the roof, and that's when everything happened.
So you feel like she was climbing the fire escape out of fear?
Yeah, she was trying to get away from everything.
Yeah, it's hard to know. It's hard to know if she was feeling fear in that moment, or if she was feeling that invincible type of quality, because I believe that like the mania type of episodes can be combined with like the psychotic, so it might have been kind of both.
There was also another interesting point that this blog that I read brought up, where, because they discovered one of the strange points about the case was that Elisa Lam was discovered naked in the water tank. So the conspiracy theorists were asking, well, if she wasn't murdered or if she wasn't raped, why was she naked? Because the autopsy report came back saying there was no evidence of rape, there was no trauma to the body, so it's not like she was unconscious and she was carried up there. It was suggested that she went up there, whether it was her own will, but she was conscious when she went up there and she jumped in the tank. So it was mentioned that, even in the documentary, it was mentioned that when she was in the water, she could have had like hypothermia, which causes a person to feel warmer than what it is. So they start like taking off their clothes. Like that kind of explained like why she was naked in the water tank.
Yeah.
Another evidence that Elisa Lam might have been going through a psychotic episode during her stay at the hotel was that she was actually staying in a shared room with another guest.
Yeah, they said that she was sharing a room with, I think 2 other girls.
Right. And they had complained the 2 other girls has complained to the hotel that Elisa Lam had really disruptive behavior. Like she would write notes to them telling them to like get out or like go home.
Yeah.
And there was one instance where she wouldn't open the door for the 2 other guests and she was like demanding a password from them. So like that was also like another evidence of her going through something.
Yeah.
And there was another thing where I think it was the manager of the hotel. Like she mentioned that there was at a point where Elisa Lam was in the lobby and she was just saying, "Oh,
I'm a crazy person. Don't worry about me."
She said, "I'm a crazy person, but so is LA."
Yeah, interesting.
So I think like she was already going through a lot of.
Yeah, it's just really unfortunate that she ended up in that area, because I think if she had ended up in a nicer type of area and they saw that type of behavior, somebody would have called for help. For sure. Right? But it's like because
they didn't call help because this kind of stuff is so common. Like I said before, another death, another day. Like what's a person having a screaming episode in the lobby? It's just like it's normal for them.
I think that it was just a series of a lot of unfortunate events that led to what the whole thing was. Even after with the investigation and stuff, there was so many unfortunate events that took place during this whole thing.
Are we gonna get into the freaking internet? What is it? Web sleuth? You call them?
Yeah, we could get into it.
Dude, they freaking pissed me off.
The web people?
The web conspiracy theories, the web sleuth. Like I was one of those people, but I didn't go as far as what they went.
Right.
Like I believed before watching the documentary and before like doing all the research, I was one of the believers who were like, okay, this whole hotel is haunted. Like there's like some demonic energy going on with it.
Right.
Or like these people, they were on like a hunt for a enemy. They were looking for a bad person. Mm-hmm. And like they found, what's his name? Morbid. Mm-hmm. That was the guy's name. So I actually have notes on this. So there's a guy named Morbid, and he's I guess he's in like a goth band. He's really into like the heavy metal stuff.
Heavy metal, yeah.
Heavy metal, and his name is Pablo Vergara. I think that's how you pronounce it. So he's from like Mexico. He's like a Mexico heavy metal singer. And these people these web sleuths, they discovered that an old video of him staying at the Cecil Hotel. And apparently there's like certain music video that he made that kind of detail him killing a woman or like putting her body in like water and like something related to like Chinese, because Elisa Lam was Chinese. Right. So like they connected all that together as like, okay, this guy must be the killer, and they literally went and like doxed him.
Yeah, that was like unnecessary because he stayed there a year before.
That's just the freaking gag of it, was like that video he posted of himself staying at the Cecil Hotel was a year before Elisa Lam even checked in.
Yeah, so that wouldn't make sense at all.
But apparently he told that to the internet sleuths, but they didn't even care. They're like, "Oh, you are the one." Like he was even broadcasted in Taiwan. Like the Taiwan news was like, "Oh, he's the killer. Like he's a suspect." And he wasn't even a suspect. The LAPD literally said like they got tips from the internet sleuths that he could be one of the suspects, and they're like, no. Like he had an alibi. Like when Elisa Lam died or when she went missing, he wasn't even in the freaking country.
Yeah, he was like in Mexico.
But these people, they literally went and ruined his life.
Yeah. Did you feel bad for him?
Oh, I was pissed off.
Yeah.
Especially that one part where he said that he tried taking his own life because he was getting all these hate messages. Oh my god, that was horrible.
Yeah.
Like, these people who did that, they need to be ashamed of themselves. Like, they were like, he was like, he can't even sing anymore, and he lost, like, gigs. I did, like, some research on it. He had a record label, he had, like, gigs lined up, and they were all gone because they thought that because of all these negative press he was getting.
Oh
his YouTube account was closed, his Facebook account was closed.
That's
It was
awful.
messed up, and it was because of these people who went and doxed him and was like, "Oh, you're the killer. We're gonna come kill you." There was like, even in the documentary, it was like showing messages he got. They were like, "If you ever come to LA, we're gonna kill you."
Yeah, that's awful.
It was jacked up.
Yeah, and he said in the end that he never even got one apology.
No, like, that's what I'm saying. These freaking web sleuths, they pissed me off the most in the documentary.
Really?
Oh. They're up there with the police force. The police force was incompetence, which contributed to their dumbness. Like, they were so dumb.
Yeah. I think that they really took the one part of his video because it's his music video was called China Girl, and his lyrics in the video were like, "I will watch your body drown" or something like that. But you know, he even said it in the documentary. He's like, I'm an artist, you know, like, yeah, I show
it's heavy metal, it's lyrics.
Yeah, like, I show the darker side of life, and it's like a weird coincidence, but I'm not it doesn't make me a killer.
No, there was a really good quote that he had said on one of his interview. He said that Ted Bundy used to listen to the Beatles. So he said, just because someone listens to good music doesn't make them a good person, and if someone listens to bad music, doesn't make them a bad person.
Yeah, of course not.
Like, it was his alter ego. He's like this heavy metal artist, and he has like all these makeup on. And even like, they never mentioned when the China Girl video was made in the documentary. But like, that freaking video of him posting himself staying at the Cecil Hotel, it was 1 year before Elisa Lam checked in. And the freaking web sleuth made a connection with that and saying, "Oh, this is definitely the killer." That pissed me off.
Yeah, it was like pretty far-fetched. Especially after you've told the police and the police have checked it out, but I don't know. The whole thing was a mess.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a giant mess.
Like, I was part of the people who believed, like, there was some, like, demonic stuff going on, but I didn't went as far as saying, okay, this guy's the killer. Or, like, okay, this is for sure what happened.
Yeah. But
like,
even...
Look at the facts, dude.
Yeah, like... He was the one who had the quote at the end. He said that place is a portal to hell. If you step into that place, you're cursed. So he kind of believed it in the end. But I understand your anger, like, towards the sleuths.
Oh my god. They pissed me off.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, you literally destroyed somebody's life.
They destroyed his entire life. He tried to kill himself because of these people. If he would have succeeded, yo, you guys got blood in your hands.
Right. That's true. What a mess. Just a giant mess. Where the hell did her phone go?
You know what? When you told me that, I tried doing a little bit of research. I didn't even know she lost her phone.
Yeah, she lost her phone.
So it was said that she was supposed to meet up with a guy, according to the phone messages.
Right.
But they never did meet up. And I believe the police did question the guy that Elisa Lam was supposed to meet up with. And the guy had an alibi for not being there during the night of the missing when she was missing. So that's all I can find about the missing phone.
Yeah, that's another weird thing that happened.